Welcome to Supernaut, where we explore the inner and outer dimensions of the self. Today I'm talking to Matt Berry. We're going to talk about the importance of our mental health and self-talk, life and death. The conversations we've had leading up to this have been so fascinating, so I'm sure it's going to be super fun. What song did you pick for us to listen to before we started?
I chose Nutshell by Alice in Chains. I just feel that whole song. Always did. As with a lot of music from the 90s, like, it's kind of, I didn't grow up in the 70s and 80s, but that's when I was really kind of hitting my stride. So many of those songs, like, hit me then in a certain way, but I don't think I really understood them fully until years later and I got sober. And especially that one, I just feel every word. And I don't know, it's helped me out in many times of darkness, which for some people, songs like that can keep them down, which certain songs can, but ones like that can really make me stop and think in, like, as far as how far I've come and how far I've grown. And even that line of, if I can't be my own, I'd feel better dead. That helped me in the sobriety aspect of things. As far I have to be my own self, and that's when I'm happiest. If I'm trying to be someone else for something or something else for someone else, is when that may work for a while, but I have to be true to myself. And that song helps.
Yeah, the word nutshell in itself implies being contained, controlled, reduced, like a soul trapped in a small space, yearning for something more spacious, being unable to break out, the loneliness of self awareness, the ache of being seen but not known, the exhaustion of carrying your truth in silence. So, did it help to know that obviously, if somebody's writing this song, they're feeling that way too? Did it help to just, is that why you like listening to it? Because it speaks to you so much and you know that you're not alone in that feeling.
In a way, yes. Actually, a time like in 2001 when I was going through a hard time, and then actually after like something in 2004, it was a song like that, but then also an album from Wilco that was like a lot of it had depressing like tones to it. And at that moment, I was like, oh my God, someone understands me. This is my friend. There's so many things. I've had great friends, or I have great friends, but the thing is, I've never opened up like with things that have happened or shared certain things that I should have, and maybe who knows how it would have turned out. But this way, it was an easy way for me to get help without having to say anything. Because here, this person was just talking back to me and understood. Amazing.
Because you're such a music person. Like, I think you love music more than most people that I know. So, was it hard to narrow it down to this one?
Oh, definitely. I mean, it can always depend on kind of what type of mood I'm in or whatever. So when I was thinking about this one, it was kind of knew what we were going to be talking about, and I wanted to get specific with one and not just. But yeah, there's many. And the whole thing is, there's many songs that I love and can listen to at any point, unless I'm maybe in a certain mood. Like if I'm super down, like I don't want to hear it. I want to hear something else, or maybe I just want to hear nature. I don't know. That's the whole thing. I mean, music can be found for me not just through your phone or your iPad, through CDs or whatever. There's so many times you can just step outside and hear the quietness, but then hear the sounds, if that makes sense. So I don't know. I think music can be everywhere. And yes, it is kind of a religion for me, if you want to look at it that way. Because it does mean a lot to me.
Yeah, and so this one related to your sobriety. How long have you been sober from alcohol for?
Fully sober for over 2 years. 2 years on August 14th of 23. Started the journey June 22nd of 22. Went back in August of 22. And that's when I felt that I really started taking it serious. But then that next year, there were still some ups and downs and some lapses in there, or even relapse. So that wasn't a perfect year. But then from August 14th of 23, of 23, I've been sober.
Yeah, I recently apologized to you because you had reached out to me in maybe 2022,
Oh, I think it was even before that.
maybe even before that,
Yeah.
because I think I went my year, in 2022. But
Right.
I had been slowing down a lot before that. So you reached out and I responded, but not super helpful. And so I apologized and said, I just wasn't healthy enough myself to know who I could help because I had tried helping people before, but they weren't serious or maybe, dragged me down a little bit. And you were like, no, don't be sorry. Like some events that would have happened that crushingly hurt you, is your words. You said, but you wouldn't have the life you have right now if those experiences hadn't happened.
True.
I mean, again, just everything happens in the right timing.
That is true. And that, I don't even know if I was ready
Yeah.
then.
Right.
I had a lot of things going on too. And it was like, and that's why I think when I responded back to her, I was like, no. Like, because I don't even know if I was really ready. I don't know what I was searching for, if I was going the correct ways. And I had that thought of going, and it was getting really bad after, like, I moved out of the house. Like, Lee and I knew we were going to be separated, but we tried living together for a while. Then I think I started getting pretty snarky and shit. And it was like, okay, time for you to move out. And in that time, I could see the girls by going to the house. And there was a weekend she was gone, and her dad, Mark, was going to come and stay with the girls. So I was with him until he came over, and we talked probably an hour and a half. Like, I was just going to leave, and he kind of walked out with me and just asked how it was going. And then next thing I knew, it was dark out, and I was very convinced. Actually, I knew at that moment I was going to be going to treatment Monday morning. That was on a Friday night, and I worked and spoke with the social workers throughout the weekend, and then come Monday, I was told to go to the ER and detox, all that stuff, and which was a huge shock when I did that, because I didn't realize how bad I had gotten.
But that was the moment that you realized how bad it was?
When I stopped and I was in the hospital, when I went to work, and like I said, talked to them right away and went down, and I felt completely normal. And when they did all the blood work and all this stuff, I was shocked at my blood alcohol content. And that's when I knew, like, holy shit, I am a professional drinker. That I had not drank for, at that point, 14, 16 hours. And yet that much was still in there. And then over the course of the next couple of days, realizing, I couldn't walk. I didn't have function. I couldn't write. And then it was like about a week and I was in treatment, and slowly but surely things started coming back. Being able to walk without feeling like you're going to fall down or all that stuff. I don't know, it was scary to realize that it had gotten that bad. And that's, it was like, okay, I got to take this serious.
Had you been contemplating quitting drinking for...
On and off, I'd say for Probably at that point, decades. I mean, at certain points,
Mm-hmm.
I think I've always known I had a problem but I'd always associate it to if I got in trouble or
Mm.
if I was missing work. Well, I'm going to work. I'm not
Mm.
getting in trouble. I'm doing this.
Functioning.
I'm functioning. I'm totally fine. But the thing was, looking back, and it wasn't maybe like an everyday thing or whatever, but 90% at least of the time I was drinking, it was to get fucked up.
Mm.
That was it. There was
Mm-hmm.
no point in having a beer,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
Yeah, I've said that
It,
this before in here, but like when I bartended and people would come in for like a drink or two, like I would watch them. Like I just don't understand how they can have one drink an hour. Who are these people?
I mean, if I'd have a night like that, where it would be have two drinks the whole night, whatever, and it was fun, and you'd wake up the next day, you'd be like, oh my God, see, that's all I have to do.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. And
Mm-hmm.
everything's good. But,
Mm-hmm.
wow, that's not going to stay. I mean, that would happen once every, how often? 6 months, a year?
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, yeah, you're drinking pretty much just until you weren't keeping your eyes open.
To not feel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and that's what it definitely got up to one point. It was did not want to feel anything. And that's in my drinking when it like last year for sure of drinking, don't think I had a beer.
Mm.
I mean it was all vodka.
Yeah.
Um
What
I
were
don't know.
you trying? What were you running from? What were you numbing?
At the end, I think my whole life I've been numbing something, and we've kind of touched on that a little bit. Where I've just felt that I've always been running from who I really am
Mm.
or who I've wanted to be for various reasons. But at the end, it was divorce, marriage coming to an end, and all those feelings. And then remember when my parents got divorced and what we went through as children and what I went through. Um, and then here my daughters are going through that. And here I disappointed, you know, my wife, my partner, uh, and failed that. So that brought back just so many like things of failing the people you love.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that was really hard to deal with. I didn't want to deal with it. I didn't want to think about it because that's how you get over things. So I would just drink till I passed out. Um, and then like a week after I moved out, I almost lost two parts of my fingers. So I was out of work for 3 months. So that coincided very much with my alcoholism.
Mm.
Because in being out for 3 months, not at home, I was staying at a friend's, but basically in a bedroom that was like 8 by 8. And shit, I was passing out 3 times a day. Because I didn't want to deal with what my life was going. And I did think at that moment, I don't know the point of living at this point. I don't know why, and that's unfortunately a prevailing thought I have had for a very long time. Um,
You still have?
um, no, I mean now, with therapy, being sober from my addictions, um, I'm not going to say I never have or never do. I mean, I have bad days and everything, but at least now I have the tools to help myself kind of stop and be like, hey, kind of let's reframe this whole thought process here. Like, okay, it's bad today, but today is today. Let's look at the positives. I'm sober. I have a house still. um, and you're going to bed, you know, with a clear head. And just being able to do that helps. No, I'm not. I also will have depressive episodes that will last a while.
Do
And
you
those can be
consider
difficult.
do you consider drinking again in those moments?
Honestly, not drinking. Um, if I think honestly I can say like twice I've thought of like, oh my God, I think I need a drink, and I think about vodka because that's all I'd want. And like I'm just thinking about it now, and I'm like getting a sick feeling.
Hmm.
Um, no other, no, it'll go to other drugs
Mm.
that are heavy and not good for you.
Did you have addictions to other drugs, or just had fun with
Well,
them?
pills, um, on and off. In the last time was like in 2023. So I also had neck surgery, and in early 2023, and that's when pills kind of came a factor. And then I know I was drinking some. Then I had a stroke. That helps with being able to not have that thought process of drinking. Um, so I don't know. I had a lot just going on. Um, Kind of forgot where I was going with that though.
Mhm. Somebody asked me last night if I am not drinking right now because I don't want to or because I feel like I shouldn't. And I'm like, I don't want to. I don't have any urges to. But when I do have an urge to, it's not because I miss the actual act of drinking. It's because I miss who I was
Hmm.
when I drank. Um, After one drink, I mean, I'm instantly more fun and I'm so funny. And I try now, I'm like, just pretend like you're drinking and just be funny. But like nothing comes in my head. And I'm like, I just feel like I don't have as much of a personality.
I
Do
get that.
you do that?
No, I mean I get that. I struggle with that in all my talks that I have with myself.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but then it's like I think that's one thing that I'm so glad that I went to treatment, and I'm glad I went three times.
Mm-hmm.
For when I needed it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what if someone can cure themselves in 28 days. I more power to you if you can. Um, I don't want to sound like an asshole, but I'd question if that was a real addiction or if it was a problem for that time. Unless, I mean, not to say people can't do it, because people can, but you have to work and you
Mm-hmm.
have to be willing to put that work in. And there are people that do get that right away. So I should probably strike half of what I said there. But for me, it did. But then I also, because like I work at Recovering Hope, and
Which
that
is
can be a treatment center for women, inpatient and outpatient. Outpatient is both men and women, but the inpatient is women, and that can be like a 3 month long program. And right away, I was like, "Oh my gosh, how could that be?" But thinking of it, I mean, it took me 3 months.
yeah.
Um,
And what's your role there?
right now, I'm a residential advocate. So I kind of work at the front desk and I'm there for support or transportation or just making sure everyone's there.
And you purposely seeked out this place because you wanted to be a part of helping other people recover,
I
or?
did. One thing in treatment that I really found, I've always felt I wanted to be some sort of a counselor or
Mm,
therapist.
hmm.
I
I'm sure
always,
service is a big thing.
services,
Treatment, yeah.
oh, huge.
Hmm.
That's one of the things that they really push for you to get involved with something,
Hmm.
and service to people is one, a huge one. Um, but like for me, I didn't know what to do, and I didn't think I could help people if I'm walking around a piece of shit, kind of a
Mm,
thing. And then in treatment, I noticed how much I was helping other people, and
mm,
it felt so good, you know. And in one of my stays, I think it was my second time, my counselor pointed out, it's like, you're awesome with other people. Have you ever thought about therapy? And I kind of said I have, but I just didn't know what. And he was like, well, I'd obviously look into this field, but in the meantime, take care of yourself. And I'm like,
mm,
what do you mean? Um, he posed a question to me that made me think really a lot about how we can deny other people from helping. He was like, I see you, or we see you helping all these people, you're like talking with them, and they say, you're helping them, this and that, you're very graceful or whatever. And, but do they help you? And I said, no, I don't open up to them. Like that. I'm here for them, you know? And he posed it like, well, why are you denying them the
Mm.
satisfaction
Yeah.
of helping others?
Right.
And I'm like, holy shit.
Yeah. Because
Good
I was going to
point.
say it's almost selfish service
And
because of how much you get out of it.
but
But you have to, yeah, it has to go both ways.
yeah, it does. And then after that, I was like, wow, okay. And that's when a lot of it changed, where I was there for anyone who felt like they needed to talk or, open up
Mm-hmm.
or whatever, but not sound cold or anything. As soon as that conversation was done and they walked away or I did, that was done.
Mm-hmm.
It was back on me because that's what I needed. And that helped me tremendously and then getting out the last time I made a decision, I'm like, I am, a huge thing is that helping others is service, the connection with others. And I tried all that my first 2 times out, and then there was a year break, and then I went back and I said I'm kind of doing the opposite. Instead of connection, I'm going to deconnect. Now, with that, it wasn't just I'm going to sit at home and not do anything. Well, the first thing that I was totally unhappy with in my life that I had to get rid of was my job. The thing about my job, it financially kept me going very well. And I knew that was going to cause that issue, but I had to, for my physical, mental, emotional well-being, had to leave. And then I said, okay, I have enough money to last a few months. I'm not going to do anything. I'm not going to look for a job. I'm going to concentrate on myself. And that was the thing. I wasn't going to sit around and do nothing. I was going to plan my day out, maybe even the whole week out, and kind of treat it like I was in treatment. At this time I'm getting up, I'm going to do this, meditate here, do a little workout, do some reading, watch this TED Talk or watch this video, and then kind of just kept that realm. I'd leave the house to do stuff with the girls, or if I'm going to go for a walk or do something, get some sort of exercise or movement in. And that's what I did. And I felt I grew quite a bit. But then it was also like, I should probably talk with other people eventually, and then that's when I saw that had an opening at Recovering Hope, and I applied there and got a job out there. But then for a long time, I was using that as my social time too. Go to work and come home and be like, hey, I got human connection for 8-10 hours, that's cool. But then, you kind of come to realize too, if that's all you're doing too, then that also becomes kind of your life. And I don't want work to be my life. I need that whole balance of personal
Well, what if
and
the place
professional. And
closes? What if
exactly.
it burns down and then, okay, you don't have a job or a social life?
It's funny you kind of say that because that's the whole thing. How many times are we always looking to the future? It's like, when I become this, it's going to be this, it's going to be that. What's going to fulfill you though? That extra $5 or what, shouldn't we got to try to fulfill ourselves right now kind of a thing. That way when we get there, it's not much better. But
Well, and we've talked about it a couple of times about non-attachment to things. Because like I've said, music is my drug, but like, what if music gets taken away? What then is going to fulfill me? And you talked about how playing guitar is one of your things that keeps you grounded, makes you feel alive, has kept you sober. But what if you lost your fingers and you couldn't play guitar anymore? So like you can't even be attached to that because what happens?
well, that's what I kind of went through there at the beginning of 22. And that's when I noticed that. So the only time I haven't been able to, once I've learned to play guitar, not that I play well, but it does help. So the only time I wasn't able to, I turned to drinking
Mm.
heavily. That was my only coping skill that I knew. So I have thought about that though, since I've been out of treatment, because uh, I have to look at that for everything. It's like so many relationships I've had have just tore me apart because that I did the whole old way of thinking, the Jerry Maguire, you complete me. Yeah, I almost puked a little. Um, where that's how I grew up thinking. That's what you needed, you know. So when I would lose a girlfriend or when I lost, our marriage, holy shit, was that devastating. I was the worst human being. How could I ever be loved? How could this or that? Well, I'm going to turn guitar, help me a little bit. No, now I can't. Don't have fingers. Just drank and drank and drank. Um, so now I would hope I have the skills to like be able to help
Mhm.
um, navigate that, because I did actually just think recently. I'm like, what would I do if that happened again, but it was permanent?
Mm.
I'm like, well, I still like playing the drums, kind of thing, percussion,
Mm.
maybe something like that. And if I've lost the ability to do any sort of music or whatever, then I guess I'll cross that bridge then,
But
because I don't know what I would do.
what if you lost your hearing completely?
Lost hearing, that would be terrible.
Hmm.
Just for any aspect, but I mean, I think I do use vibrations or sounds or music
Mm.
so much
Hmm.
um, to now sometimes ground me. Um, a lot of times, I don't think I really make it to make me feel better or worse or anything. It's just, um, I don't know. I just like having it played. And now, like I said earlier, I think there are certain songs that I will have turn off at times, or I mean, even if it's too poppy, and I'm like, I don't want to hear this right now,
Hmm.
you know. Um, but if I lost all hearing, I don't know. I don't know what I would do.
Hmm.
uh, Probably at this point, maybe I could hear music and then learn sign language and have people sign me the words.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. Okay. Well, back to your job now in the treatment center. So you are going back to school
Yes.
to be a counselor.
Yep.
How's that going?
It's going good. It's hectic. It'll get really hectic in the spring, which I feel bad about because it's Layla's senior year.
Mm.
But she's been awesome and very understanding. Um, so that helps.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, springtime we classes, and then in the summer I can start my like internship.
At Recovering Hope.
Hopefully, yes. I do got to let them know. I was just told that the other night. Well, you got to tell the right people before all the spots get filled up. And I'm like,
Mm.
yes, I'll get it on their radar. So that is the hope, though. And then after all that's done and I become a counselor, I don't know. I mean, if there's something open there, um, obviously I would like to try to stay there, at least to start my career, because I don't know what demographic or whatever I really want to work with.
Mm.
Um, so it might be one of those things too. Who knows what the landscape will look like? Where once I have the hours and I'm a licensed counselor, who knows?
Yeah.
I mean,
Let the universe guide you
yeah,
into where you fit.
you know,
What happened to make you understand the importance of mental health specifically?
just, I mean, my well-being, just noticing the difference in working on it and dealing with things that come to you instead of just pushing them aside. Um, I just feel it's made me a better person. Uh, More aware, maybe more empathy, um, better listener.
You brought up self-talk. How
Yes.
do you talk to yourself differently now?
I still at times will be negative at times. I mean, that's where I struggled the most with. I was always a piece of shit. I always deserve bad things. This is, some bad, that's, you deserved it, no matter what it was. I always made that excuse. It was my fault or I did something to deserve it, which isn't obviously true. Um, and it started in treatment my first time where it was kind of brought up, and one of the counselors, she said, it can be as silly as telling yourself you love yourself, and a bunch of us kind of laughed, and she was like, no, seriously, like, but look yourself in the mirror and tell yourself, and it's that, I remember hearing that years ago, and I mean, everyone just kind of laughed about it. And all of a sudden it's like, well, I'm here, whatever, you know, let's try things. So every morning I'd wake up and be going to the bathroom, whether it's before a shower or after, be like, hey, good morning, Matthew. I love you. And for a while it is a joke, or it's like, yeah, whatever, fucker, or something, and then all of a sudden, like one day I said it and I was like looking into my eyes and I'm like, yeah, no, I do. You are something and you
Mhm.
have something, you
Mhm.
know, fucking let it go, you know? And from then it it was a daily thing for quite a while, because it's not something we can do. We can't be kind to ourselves or talk to ourselves nice for a week or a month and just be like, we're good for the rest of life. So many things are like that. It's not a quick fix. It's something where there's many things where I haven't thought I've grown, or I just don't understand this or that, this or that. And then it's pointed out to me a time later, like, no, but you can't explain it, but you're living it. And it's like, oh, okay, that's cool. Now
Mhm.
that I'm living it, now with time will come that chance to be able to explain it, or, you know, come up with better words to use. But the whole thing, and that's one huge thing though, it's self-talk. It's the thing I talk about even with clients out there. If you hear them say something about themselves, I mean, try to stop them, just be like, hey, no, say three nice things about yourself.
Mm.
That was another huge thing in treatment, where it would kind of start a joke, but then it became really serious. I mean, people would, I'm such a piece of shit. I do what? No, 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 no. Oh, stop right now, Beth. What are you? What? No, three good things right now. And it could be whatever. That can start out silly. Oh, I have nice shoelaces. I have whatever, this or that. Yep, okay, you got three things. But at least it's three good things you said about yourself. That's
Mhm.
a start.
Mhm.
Um,
I have a coworker when I started at the job I'm at who, when we first started working together, he would say stuff like, "Oh, yeah, I'm dumb. I don't know why I did that," or and he said it at least once a day until I finally said, I think I had to bring it up 3 different times. I'm like, "Your kids are gonna hear you say that stuff. Like, there's no way you're just saying that at work. If you're saying it at work, you're saying it at home." And I then finally, after 3 times, I think I'd said it harshly enough. Like, stop talking shit to yourself out loud, at least. I
yep,
mean, it's going to take a lot longer to stop in our heads.
yep.
But the first step is stop out loud. And it's been a couple of years since I've heard him say anything negative about himself. Maybe he does when he's not around me, but
But you don't hear it. So
well,
like, it's a start.
yeah.
Or he doesn't say it in front of you.
Hmm.
But no, that's true. It is a start. And you brought up a good point, because like, especially like when my daughters, when they started getting certain ages, I'd think, wow, back to my childhood, or when I was going through a divorce, I was thinking of the impact on them, how and I know Leah has too, like, tried to make it as normal as possible, their lives. But there's still times I think back and I beat myself up for it. It's like, oh, how did I act in these situations, or how is that going to impact them? Um, but then the thing is too, that saves me, I guess, is like, well, that was recognized. And I will say what I do know from the divorce on, it, I feel, not to say the whole time it was all great or anything, and it took a little bit, probably for me to grow up a lot. But the girls see that there is no sort of this hatred or this sort of talk behind anything, and I think that only helps. I mean, it can't hurt. That's all I know. Because I know that nasty side of things, how that can hurt. Um, so I don't know. We just try to do the best we can. And for me, that's staying free from alcohol, and it works for me.
You said you wanted to talk about life and death. Is there anything you want to say about death?
Well, nothing is known except that you won't be here. And there have been times when I did not want to be here. And the thing was, looking back, both times, I think one time I've attempted suicide twice. That I'll admit to. One time it was just kind of like a quick reaction. The other time, but both times I didn't have anyone to talk to. And it was not like one instance. It had been building through time, and I feel if I would have just opened up and talked.
Because you said you don't have anybody to talk to, but did you just couldn't see or feel that there was people around, you wouldn't let them in?
There were people around me. I could have. I didn't know, but like my friends, I didn't want to let them into any part of that. They knew me as one way, as fun, happy, sometimes moody and difficult to get along with or be around. But that's how they knew me, and I don't know if I felt embarrassed to like talk about it with them or like bring my problems up. But then even just going to talk with someone, whether it was a pastor or a therapist or mom or someone, I just never did.
Well, clearly we don't know, and you didn't know how to let people help you either. We talked about that just a few minutes ago about in treatment when they said, well, you're helping everybody, like, so that's clear.
It is clear. So, and that's just how I felt. And I don't want people to feel that way. There's always someone, I think sometimes we get caught up I would get caught up in one person. I want that one person to talk to, and I can't now because I fucked that relationship up, And therefore, since I can't talk to that one person, I have no one. That's what would be going on in my head.
That's how it feels.
And which is so wrong, because that is when you do it like I'm alone. There's no one for me. There's nothing. No one understands me. And I just want people to talk. And you don't have to talk about your problems. Sometimes, it just, I mean, don't get me wrong, it is very good, especially for me to talk about my problems if I'm going through things, just to get them out and air it out, and in a space of no judgment. That's huge, There's times when people are talking about what they're going through or, an issue at hand, and all they want is to talk. They don't want advice. They just want a listener.
And we're so bad at that because we just want to help and we want to give advice and we want to, but most of the time listening, and we've talked about that a lot, is asking people, how do you want to be supported? Although Veda said, then that's decision fatigue because people don't know how they want to be supported, but
I've struggled with that though, with that question. How can we support you? I don't know how to answer it.
Mm-hmm.
The first time in my life I really heard it like out in real life or whatever on a job was at Recovering Hope.
Mm.
And I didn't know how to answer it. And now looking back, I wish I could go back a year and be like, okay, now
Mm-hmm.
I get what you're asking for. Because even at that time, I mean, I'm still early in my recovery, obviously. But it was like, oh, this issue's happening. How can I support you? Well, you can support me by getting more people to work or what,
Mm.
or so, it'd just be like, instead of stopping and thinking like, hey, this is what's going on. I don't know, just explaining
Mm-hmm.
like what I just said. Well, this is what's going on, and I don't really know how to ask for what kind of support, but this is how I'm
Mm-hmm.
feeling, and this is what's going on. And even through that, you could probably come up with a conversation where they're like, well, how about if we try this or that? Be like, oh, yes, thank you.
Mm.
That'd be great. But I wasn't willing to get that,
Mm-hmm.
to be like, I don't know. I don't know. Sometimes my brain just shuts down too. It
Mm-hmm.
goes into that fight or flight kind of thing, and it just wants to hide
Mm-hmm.
and curl up in a corner. And there I am standing in front of whoever.
And you got to the point also where you felt like the people in your life would be better off without you.
Um, let's see, when in the 90s or whatever, when I attempted, yes, at that point it would just be like, why? For one, no one's gonna miss me. I'm just kind of a screw up.
Because does it start off as I like it's just too painful to be here. I don't want to be here, and then morphs into it'd be better with people would be better off without me.
You know, I think that's probably the thought process leading up to it. That's maybe like your ideations of it, but like, okay, like for me, it was just, I could not understand what happened. And it was just something again in life that happened that I could not wrap my head around with no good reason in my head, like why it happened. Um, and I didn't know why I was living. I was
Mm.
still in that like I was in this period of time of my life where searching for the purpose of life or the meaning of life. And I don't know, sometimes I feel if you're searching for that so hard, you're really missing out on what is right there. Um, but no, so that was just like a very prevalent thing. And it's like, if I'm just going to keep screwing up, why am I here? So I don't think like that one was more of they'll be better off. That was my second attempt, was the thought that everyone will be better off. Um, and the first one, I think I was just sick of life. I was done. I didn't get it. Yeah.
And the second time you had read a stat about children whose parents had taken their lives. So with your
Yes.
daughters, was it still like they'll be better off without me,
I don't think I
but
really thought of it then. That came out like kind of after, um, to make me like not want to
yeah.
be like, hey,
Oh, okay.
I, if I do this, in my mind right now, they'd all be better off. I mean, whatever. But it gives them like a 65% more chance of doing it themselves.
Mm.
And it's like, well, that would just lead me, even in death, I'd be blamed for
Mm.
things, and I don't want that. Uh, I don't want to put that burden on them. Because then, stop and think about it. It's like, no, that's very selfish of me. Like, what, my problems are so bad, so big that I got to take care of it. My problems will be done with.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what about the problems I'm leaving? you know.
Yeah. Well, I grew
2
up
children without a dad, 2 children, you
thinking,
know.
yeah, I grew up thinking it was selfish to take your own life, but people in that mind state are literally thinking people
Yep.
are better off without me, and they're believing that. It's not just that I realize it's not selfish, but now I realize also that like people who are in that much pain, I mean, you can't think straight,
Yeah.
and to be in that much pain to want to leave this earth, to think that that's selfish is just mind blowing to me now. Like I don't find it
Yeah,
selfish at all.
because there is I don't know. Sometimes there's a lot of thinking in with it and sometimes not. And I I just feel for people that have that mindset though, or are in that mindset, because I've been there feeling that it would be better place without you. Um, in in your head, yes, you're taking away other people's pain because you've caused them pain. You know, and so yeah, it can be hard. So many things are in cycles that can be hard to bust yourself out of, I guess.
And then there was a kind of divine intervention moment the second time with a friend.
Yep. Um, phone was ringing. Uh, I wasn't gonna answer it, but after I attempted, it rang again, and I just kind of answered, um, and didn't say what I did, but I think she could tell what was going on. Um, I had been drinking and whatever attempted, and she knew something was off, whatever. And I don't remember if I said anything to her like very bluntly. I don't think I did, but the police were over like 5 minutes later after we had hung up, and I tried to kind of play like, why are you here, kind of a thing. And they're like, oh, concerned person called, and try to play it off, but I knew one of the deputies, and they came in. Then I told him what I did. Then he saw like the room and was like, "All right, you got to go in." And I'm like, "No, I don't." You know, and they're like, "No, you don't, but you should." And even just that, I'm like, "Yeah, you're right." You know, um, but I don't know if I would have been in that spot without, that happened after I'd been to treatment. um If I had to been to treatment, I don't know if I would have.
Maybe your soul delicately planned it all so precisely so that you can get to where you're at and you can keep helping people.
That is a
'Cause if you
very big
hadn't gotten to that
possibility. Who
point,
knows,
yeah.
That's very true. And that's how, I think years ago, a boy was graduating high school and he babysat our children, and he asked us to write him a letter of what we would do differently
Mm.
if we'd go back. And I wrote in that letter, this is years before I went to treatment or anything, but, I wrote how at this point in my life, I would not change one thing. No matter the good, the bad, this and that, all those things that have shaped me into who I am. And at that moment, I was a man with 2 young children, married, very happy, marriage, everything, and life was going great. And I feel if something had been done differently 20 years ago, I mean, who knows where my life would have been.
Mm.
So even with the bad things, with all the good, everything, I wouldn't change it. And even looking back now, it's like, yes, are there regrets? Of course there's regrets. Nothing you can do about them though. Um, so the only way to make up for past regrets is try to live your life the best you can
Mm.
today.
Learn from them.
Hopefully learn from them, because like even now I can't say even 3 years ago I would have done something different, because I don't know where I'd be right now. I had to go through whatever I did to be where I am, and I like where I am right now. um I'm not perfect, but I don't try to be perfect. that's always been a huge thing for me. You know, I think almost everyone, you know, wants to be perfect, and we say, no, it's okay, we're not perfect. But for me, deep down, I still, for myself, I had to be.
Mm.
And I still catch myself at times, you know, if I mess up or get called to like an office or something, do something bad, it's like, oh God, I still beat myself up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But I try not to so much because holy shit, it's like, I'm human. Come on.
Yeah.
Or what's helped me too is talk to yourself on how you would talk to someone else.
Mm-hmm.
How would you give
Mm-hmm.
that person advice?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, everything, how you talk to them and gave that advice, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Turn it around to yourself,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
Last week with Jen, I said that I had seen the line, now that I don't have to be perfect, or I realize that I don't have to be perfect, I can be good.
Yeah,
And being good is
yeah,
great.
it is, you know.
Yeah,
Are
let's
you
be
gonna
good.
you know, fuck up at times or do, you know, not the right
Mm-hmm.
thing sure,
Mm-hmm.
because we make mistakes,
Mm-hmm.
and that's okay though.
Was it religion that taught us that made us think we had to be perfect? Or like, why do we all feel like we have to be so?
I mean, I don't know. Religion, childhood, because religion was so much of childhood, you know, it was like, hey, Jesus sees everything. God sees you doing that, you know, do this, you
Mm-hmm.
know, in a way of trying to, you know, get you to be good, you know,
Mm-hmm.
to kind of almost scare you in a way, you
Mm-hmm.
know, but the whole thing is, if you're not good,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
you're going to hell.
Mm-hmm.
And that gets stuck in your head too.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
I
just
mean,
bad.
Jesus loves you no matter what, but
Yep.
there's still
Oh
conditions
yeah.
where I believe Jesus loves you no matter what,
Yeah.
no matter what you do.
Yep. And that's the way I wish it was taught.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
mankind has taken religion and went their own ways with it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, many ways I don't agree because it's almost like used for power
In control.
and control,
Mm-hmm.
and it's two things I'm not a fan of.
Mm-hmm. I want to tell my Phoenix story so then we can talk about your Phoenix story. So a few weeks ago, I had a friend spend the night, a friend from high school, and in the morning he was like, "Hey, did you know that the light shining down in your yard and the way your trees are set up, there's a phoenix in your yard with the lights? Like, did you do that on purpose?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, I'm totally skilled enough to figure out how to make a phoenix in my yard with the trees, sure." No, but I thought that was so cool. You know, I was like, "Oh, man, I haven't thought about a phoenix in like 9 months or a year." Like, I just thought it was so cool. A couple hours later, I'm listening to a podcast and they bring up a phoenix, like, and it was a sign for them somehow. And I was like blown away. Two phoenixes in the
Right?
same day. Whoa. A few hours later, I decide to look up. I had been thinking for a while about purchasing a yurt that I could like do sound meditation in, and I decided to look one up. One of the first ones that showed up, the style is called a phoenix, and I was just like, oh my gosh, just blown away. I was like, well, this is all a sign to just pick this yurt because I dislike researching so much. Now
Right?
the universe is helping me out so I don't have to keep trying to figure out which one. And I was smart and looked through a couple other ones, but I went back to this one. I'm like, I think this one is it. And then you came over the next day to talk about what we're going to talk about on the podcast. And I told you that story. And you're like, oh, I have a phoenix tattoo. So I'm like, 4 phoenixes
4.
in 24 hours. And then that week I brought it up to a couple other people and a couple other things that showed up. So it's like, what is happening with this phoenix thing? And I still don't know, but for me, I mean, like, what does it mean for me in my life? Like, there's so many things it could mean, but you have a phoenix tattoo.
I do.
What's your phoenix story?
Honestly,
Can I show it?
I was I was in treatment, talking with a girl who ended up kind of being my treatment daughter.
Mm.
She was 23, I believe, at the time.
It's like work wife, but treatment daughter. I
Treatment
like it.
daughter.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, well, I didn't mention it. The first time I went to treatment, I left with a treatment girlfriend, which wasn't good. Treatment daughter is so much better.
Okay.
But
Good to know.
there was just, I got there and I had just been there 3 weeks ago. So I knew some of the people still there, like client wise. Um, so that was kind of fun. But there was always one girl in my class, very quiet. And that, at that point was sometime in COVID. So some classes we'd wear masks or, and some they didn't care if we did. She always wore a mask, always had her hair like down, and when she'd speak, you could hardly hear her. And just ended up connecting with her one day, and she was having a hard day. I went, just kind of sat and asked, if I could sit, and all of a sudden we talked, and she opened up, and from that moment on, we were really close. Like she told me I was the first male in her life where she felt comfortable
Hmm.
being around, which like crushed me because she's 23, but every man in her life to that point had tried to either take something from her sexually, physically, whatever. So that really got to me, and we did get close. Just a lot of talking, and I told her my story of just when I was down, my lowest, um, and how I just never felt like I dug out of that until that time in treatment. Like, not that I dug out, but I was digging, and
Hmm.
I finally felt it and talked about how I felt about myself. Up to that point. And 2 days later, she comes to me with this drawing of the phoenix holding the a skull that's burning, or that's on chains. And the way she explained it to me, it just, like, she based it off what I told her, and then how she explained it to me, it's, and I wanted it right here so I could always look down. There's two of them, this one and that one. I always wanted to really see, for just reminders of keep doing what I'm doing, because I don't want to go back to that burning skull. And I don't know, it just it floored me. And then she ended up like making like many other drawings and gave me some, and I have other tattoos of her stuff. But that
What's the other one
one,
that you pointed to?
this one is lyrics from River of Deceit.
What does it say?
My pain is self-chosen.
I think we even pick it before we come to this planet.
You know, well, that's generational kind of the trauma and stuff. I mean, that can go for anything that's been built in us through, or our ancestors through years,
Yeah,
decades.
it's in our
And
DNA.
it is. But yeah, that came from a song which was taken from a book, The Prophet. Khalil Gibran. I can't remember how to say his name, but that book is kind of my Bible, or that became my Bible when I was in treatment. Had so many great sayings, in little short stories, that really just hit me. And that was one, because that's one way I kind of lived. Been through some very terrible things, and I let those things dictate my life for a long time. So that's what I was living in, that pain. And that's a terrible place to be, with that feeling. And that was just a reminder to kind of, that's what happens if you don't confront that pain, confront that trauma. It doesn't have to be all at once. My God, that doesn't work, but just little by little.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes you have many of them. So you start with that smallest one,
Mm-hmm.
and you kind of start working through them. And that's the hope, I guess, at the end of it all, that you're not living, trying to destroy yourself because of any reason.
Well, if we could teach kids at a young age not to suppress feelings, like talk about them right away, I mean, how beautiful would that be?
It would be absolutely wonderful. I mean, I have heard there seems to be a lot more children like going to maybe therapy and stuff, which is good. But the whole thing is too, hopefully it's the right kind,
Mm-hmm.
or is it, that can go for anyone,
Yeah, you
children,
can use it as a
adults.
crutch. You can use it as
Yeah,
part of your identity.
and I'm sorry, you also have bad, counselors or therapists too that really
Don't want your best
don't.
interest.
Yeah, it's more of that paycheck, or might care a little, but might care enough to have you keep coming back, or
Mm-hmm.
making sure you come back. So that can be a hard cycle to figure out, but that's the whole thing. Hopefully you're honest with yourself and honest with that person you're meeting with, and if there is a good connection there, that's awesome. Keep
Mm-hmm.
it for as long as you can.
Mm-hmm.
um there's no shame in that. And there's no shame in going to try 10 different counselors out, or 20. I mean, there is someone out there for you.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
I'm so obsessed with my therapist right now. I keep talking about and he's probably the fifth one I've had in my life. And today I talked to him and I told him, I'm like, every session with you is better than any full term that I've had with any other therapist. Like every time is mind blowing. And I didn't even go and talk about anything. I'm just like, oh, I'm really tired this week because, and I think when I'm tired, I'm just a mess and blah, blah, blah. And by the end, I'm just like, okay, that was mind blowing.
right.
So yeah,
Well, and that's what I think. Once you find that personal, it's not that every time you go there you have to work really hard on what this and that, there, because you're gonna have times like that where it's just, I mean, there's been times where I go and I'm like, I think we got to work on do these things. Then maybe one question is asked or something, and I start talking about that, and then it leads into these little things that were really bothering me and that I wasn't going to talk about, or maybe it's just throwing some things out to get off the chest or whatever, and then yes, it's like, holy shit, I feel good. But I also think too, you do need those times when it's good, and not that we should be seeking therapists, counselors for answers or anything, but hopefully they can. What I've come to really appreciate is not getting those answers. Like, it's frustrating. It's like, I want the answer to it now, but then I have liked how they can kind of get you to do things to come up with your own answer, and it may take a month. But that's okay, because then once you realize, like, holy shit, I did that, and how did I do that? And it's like, well, I kind of threw a couple things out there, and you just went, and so good job,
they're
and that
masters
feels
at
good.
making you think that you came up with it on your
Yes,
own.
yes, and that feels good though,
Yeah. Yeah. Because if they just tell you, then the wires aren't connecting in your brain.
For yourself.
Because you can hear something so many times, but until you hear it in the way that you understand it in a different way, then you'll never forget it.
In the way
because
that
you
your
connected
head,
those. You weren't told.
Yep. If you can do that in your own head, yes, and you're gonna feel that, and it's empowering. Now, granted, too, obviously there are times when yes, you're gonna want some answers, and yes, you'll get them, but for so many things, and I think that's what maybe makes a good therapist. They kind of notice, like, hey, this is something they're right on the verge of noticing this. It might just take another week or two, of little nudging on this or something, but not giving anything away. And then, like we said, I mean, you come up with it and it's like, oh shit. And then you feel that much better because you came to that understanding, That's good.
Well, this segment that I do, I'm so excited about, and maybe I guess part of why I do it is so that I hope people can connect in their brains, hearing compliments this way or hearing how other people see you. Because I asked you to give me a
Oh boy.
list of people that I could reach out to, and I asked them to describe you in 6 or 7 adjectives. And then I threw all the words together, and then I picked out some themes from these words. So that is my hope, is that people can hear these and then start to believe these things about themselves if it connects in that different way. Because
Cool.
it's not just one person saying it. I know when I hear, like last week, I had something where I'm like, nobody's ever there for me and blah, 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 and I'm like freaking out. And then I remembered, oh, somebody reached out to me yesterday about this, but I just couldn't feel it. So
Yeah.
we are so bad at feeling compliments and hearing good
Yes.
things about ourselves. So excited because your first word. I have never had anybody have this many, a group this big for one word. So your first word. Do you have any guesses, first of all, of how people described you? Do you want to guess at all?
Boy, one word? No. I was gonna say terrible roommate.
Yeah, that's not an adjective. A lot of people don't understand the adjective thing, which I get. It's funny, but they're like giving me phrases, and I'm like, that's not how it works. But okay. Your first word is kind. Everybody said a couple people said considerate, compassionate, helpful, thoughtful, understanding, tender, sweet, generous, loving, supporting, encouraging, forgiving, humble, patient a couple times, reliable, and loyal a couple times. So I put those in the kind category. Your second word is charismatic. A couple people said funny. A couple people said hilarious. A couple people said affable. And people said fun, amiable, amicable, friendly, optimistic, and inspirational.
People said all those words?
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Your third word is expressive. Not surprising, a couple people said creative. They said artistic, evolving, real as fuck.
I'll take that one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Creative.
Fourth word is fearless, with words like adventurous, brave, courageous, resilient, confident, and honest. Your fifth word is perceptive, with words like intelligent, brilliant, logical, and insightful. So AI and I came up with a synopsis for you with all these words. And it is that you are the warmth that draws people in, the light that they didn't know they needed, a living lyric, steady and true.
I'm going to say I agree.
Good. Good.
That's how far I've come.
Yeah, that's beautiful. It starts with speaking to yourself in the mirror.
It does. Those are, holy shit. That's, I don't know. So many like chills just like thinking of that. That's kind of what I strive to be. Many of those things, and I fall short sometimes, but that's okay.
And you reached out to a range of people, some friends that you've been friends with forever, some women that have watched you for decades, and your children. And they all see you
cool.
in the same themes.
That makes the guy feel pretty good.
Good. What do you hope that your grandkids do that you do when they're your age?
I just hope, starting at a younger age, being aware of so many things, of just how life kind of works, how whatever, you can get into nitty gritties and everything, but just, even the little books like Don't Sweat the Small Stuff, things like that. Like I totally forgot about that book till someone brought it up recently, but it's so true. And I remember reading it when I was younger, but not really whatever. Being like, yeah, it's true, whatever, not living it. kind of live the way you see, live the way that you are meant to, in just the best way you can. I know people are gonna do drugs or drink and stuff, just hopefully smart,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Yeah. Self-aware.
self-aware.
Well, is there anything that you do that you hope your grandkids don't do?
Right now,
Yeah. Anything that you do in your life that you still should kick?
smoking.
Yeah.
It's freaking cigarettes, and they say, they try to get you to stop in treatment, but I was one of those. It's like one fucking thing at a time. But yeah, that's one thing I hope, starting with my daughters, never do.
I think the younger generation is like,
But not
why
vape
would
either.
I?
But not
Oh
vape
God.
either.
Oh no,
No,
you're
no
right.
vaping
You're right.
either.
They're vaping so much.
That's where, yes.
Ugh,
So
so bad.
because that's still kind of like, hey, this is a healthy, alternative, but it could be 10 times worse.
It's so much worse. Yesterday was 2 weeks without vaping for me.
2 weeks.
It's so tough because it is like you can get fruity, you can get savory, you can get whatever kind you want. You can do it anywhere, and
That's
so
my
fun and
saving
amazing.
grace.
Because I'd quit smoking cigarettes years ago and just started vaping a year ago. And
I have thought of that, going back to smoking like Camel Lights, because I would get sick
yeah,
if I smoked them right now.
yeah,
I'm like, oh, maybe I should do that.
yeah.
Mine are too good.
Right.
It's hard to quit.
Yeah. Well, I always smoked menthols, and I was like, what if I only smoked reds? Then I wouldn't smoke. But
Yeah, I know. But then
don't
it's
really do
probably
that.
one of those things where if it's in your head, you're going to do that, you'll fight through that little shit, and then all of a sudden you're smoking reds.
And you're always figuring out how to justify it.
Oh, yeah. Our brain's a funny thing.
Yeah. Well, I hope that you come on again soon. I want to hear more about coping skills. I want to hear more about your life leading up to this. I think we have a lot more to talk about with spirituality. But yeah, let's save it for next time. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you so much for
So
having
great.
me and letting me share a little bit of my life.
Yeah, thanks.